Welcome to Copilots, the podcast where we review not just the first episode of a show,
but also the second. Some shows don't have the best pilot episode, and giving you that second chance might just change your mind.
Here, we take that chance for you and let you know our opinion on if a show deserves more than one shot.
I'm Justice. Alongside me is my co-pilot Josh. Now, let's get ready for takeoff. Your in-flight entertainment this time will be Vixen.
So if you've never heard of Vixen, the series, I don't blame you.
Yeah, sure.
It was an animated web series, part of the larger Arrowverse, because as I've mentioned before on this podcast, I am currently watching through the Arrowverse, and I have dragged Justice along with me.
Yay.
And that means we're watching Green Arrow, the show's just called Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, DC Legends of Tomorrow, Lois and Lane, Black Lightning, Vixen, and there's one more show I'm forgetting the name of. Constantine. There we go, Constantine. That's all 8 shows.
Yeah, I don't think Batwoman's part of it, is it?
There's only 8 shows in the Arrowverse.
Okay.
I know that, and I just named 8 shows.
Good
Unless
job.
Vixen doesn't count.
Wasn't Freedom Fighters Ray also technically part of it?
Oh, shit. Wikipedia says there's only 8 shows in this
I
series.
think it might be an animated movie, but I know it's an animated feature part of it.
But we're very deep into Arrow, about halfway through the totality of Arrow if we just go on episode count.
Yeah, sure.
We're 2 seasons into Flash, and Flash gets good now.
It actually does get so much better than what it has been.
We've watched all of Constantine.
I have watched all of Constantine multiple times. I enjoy it quite a bit.
And now that means we need to watch Vixen because Vixen, Supergirl, and DC Legends of Tomorrow are like the next things up in the watch list.
Yeah.
So we decided, hey, we've got an episode on the 22nd of July. We'll do Vixen.
And so we watched Vixen.
And we decided, hey, while we're binging the Arrowverse, and because we're going to be busy on August 2nd, because that's Gen Con,
Yep.
we'll just review Supergirl for August 2nd.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a spoiler. We don't normally do that. But now you know you're getting Arrowverse back-to-back with Arrowverse.
And it's mainly so we can provide the context here of, we had no idea how long Vixen was when we went to go watch it.
I knew it was an animated web series. I assumed that
like
meant 20-minute episodes.
20 minutes to like maybe 30 minutes because it's web, so they have more free space to work with.
No, it means 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It means 5-minute episodes.
Honestly, arguably less than 5 minutes because they have opening and ending credits.
Well, this episode was 4 minutes and 51 seconds on the time clock.
Yeah.
The second episode's 7 minutes and change. So,
Yeah.
but that means we Blueyed it, guys. We Blueyed it.
Sure.
Now, that's my new terminology for when we accidentally make an episode that's going to be way too short, because Bluey ended up being like a sub 30-minute episode of podcast.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a Bluey moment.
However, because it is part of the Arrowverse, we have things we can talk around it with as well, I guess. But I guess what I'm saying is we can do the review for the show.
Okay. Well, like we said, Vixen is a animated web series by the CW.
Yeah.
Created by the CW for the Arrowverse. It debuted in August 2015, meaning that it's 9 years old now.
Yeah. And our main character, Mary McCabe, she has fun animal-based powers. She has for like the entire history of her character as well.
Yeah, she's kind of like a Beast Boy, right? She transforms into animals.
I would say almost more of an animal man because she doesn't transform into anything.
Yeah, I was mostly joking. I was just trying to get clarification.
Yeah. She can use the powers of animals, by which I mean their most identifying traits / features. Like, she will take on those attributes.
Yeah, like if she touched her totem and called upon the power of, like, the water bear, she would be basically indestructible.
I mean, maybe. I'll be honest, I don't know exactly how her powers work in the comics. I don't know if it's like she gains like all the traits that animal actually has, or if she gains like the most
iconic ability?
Iconic or totemic powers of them. because that is a phrasing of that I think works, especially with the way her
And if
focuses.
if her abilities are strictly totemic in nature, then she couldn't gain water bear powers because water bears don't have a totemic iconography.
Yeah, there's no outstanding feature of them. I mean, I don't think that's necessarily what I was saying by that. I was saying like one specific thing that they are known for, which for water bears, it's surviving.
In anything.
Yeah, so maybe not. It just really depends on how it's handled.
Within the confines of the animated series, though, we do know that she can like gain the strength of a gorilla or the strength of an elephant.
Or the flight of a hawk.
Or the speed of a jaguar.
Yes.
Sorry, or the reflexes of a jaguar, the speed of a cheetah.
Yeah, and we know this pretty early on because the show starts
In media
res with Vixen being chased by Green Arrow and the Flash.
He is actually Green Arrow now because at the end of season 3 of Arrow died, quotation marks, heavy quotation marks, and because the Arrow was dead, the police department thought that was Roy Harper. The new hero emerged, and he calls himself the Green Arrow.
Yeah, and the Flash actually is Barry Allen now because Barry Allen is the Flash.
Yeah, he's the fastest man alive. His name is Barry Allen. He confronted his mother's killer.
Yeah. But media res, she's being chased down by the Arrow, by the Green Arrow, and the Flash. And there's not dialogue here. There's stunned reactions from both Flash and Arrow as she uses some of her powers.
Yeah.
Because they're chasing her across, like, city rooftops and such.
Yeah. She can, like, she's dexterous enough to dodge Green Arrow's archery.
Yes.
And her reflexes are fast enough that even though Flash is faster than she is, she can dodge out of his way and maneuver between levels of buildings faster than he can.
Yes. And it's just weird, in my opinion, with the animation. It's like, they left the spot open to have dialogue put in from Stephen Amell or Grant Gustin, and it's just not there. But we don't even get like any effort sounds from them. We just get facial reactions of them being like mouth partially open, looking stunned when she does something like once or twice.
Yeah, and eventually, Green Arrow goes to shoot a net arrow at her, and it almost catches her, but she dives off the edge of a building. But then for some reason, her powers just aren't working.
And she falls, screaming the word no.
And then
we get a 3 days earlier.
And she awakes in her bed in a prison cell.
Yep, in her bed in a prison cell. But someone has posted bail for her.
And she is getting her stuff back from the police because when you get arrested, they take all your stuff away and catalog it.
Yep.
She's getting all her stuff back, and she has this necklace that is an animal totem as well. It's got like teeth and claws on it and then like a tiny skull.
A tiny little carved stone head that looks maybe like a bird or a big cat. Like it's in that weird liminal space between both of them.
And one of the cops is like, hey, it's my wife's birthday. I forgot to get her anything. I'll give you $50 for that necklace.
No. At first he says, I'll give you $20 for it. And then she says it's a family heirloom. So he says $50.
I thought it was 50 and then 100. My bad.
No, it was 20 then 50. And this was after the other guard, the one at the desk, like passingly kind of insulted her fashion designs because apparently she makes fashion designs.
Yeah, one of the items she had, or multiple of the items she had when they arrested her, were sketchbooks.
And when the guard was reading back what is registered as and giving it to her, he said something like a book of okay fashion design. So
she gets all her stuff back, goes outside, and it's her dad that posted bail, and she's upset about that.
Because it's her foster father, Chuck, who is voiced by Neil Flynn, who does great voice work.
Most iconically known for his role as the Dr. Yanni Tor in the hit medical series Scrubs.
Sure.
Am I wrong?
I mean, I know him very well from that, but I think he was also in The Middle.
Yes, okay. And I don't know if people know what that is.
I don't know. I know it ran for a few seasons on like CBS or CBW, something like that.
He's also Lindsay Lohan's dad in Mean Girls, right?
I think so. Yeah, definitely. That sounds right. Really.
He's Janitor from Scrubs. That's what everybody knows him from.
Yeah, he also does voice work.
So the two of them go to grab a bite to eat,
and
they're at this diner that they used to frequent when she lived with him, apparently.
Yes.
And his wife has died, and she's telling him how she got arrested. She came back to Detroit.
Yes, because he questions why she's back in Detroit without at least letting him know.
Yeah, because she originally, well, we don't know this yet, but she went looking for her birth parents. We'll find out in the next scene that she didn't actually discover them, meet them. But she's talking to him now about coming back to Detroit because she was given an offer from a fashion company for her design work. And when she got back and was doing the interview, the person was like, your designs are just so-so. But I can give you a job if you give me a job. Wink, wink.
So she stabbed him in the hand.
With a pen.
Yeah.
Her foster father had heard that it was a pencil, but it was a pen.
Yeah. He just chuckles and says his wife would have been angry with her, but secretly proud because she always loved it when Mary stood up for herself.
Yep. And so then they're walking home because she's going to stay the night at Chuck's place.
Yes.
And they get accosted by 3 muggers.
The most generic of, like, muggers ever.
One of them flips the knife out and goes, "Give me the necklace."
One of them holds a gun up for a kill shot as he's starting to mug them, and then another one pulls out a knife.
He goes, "Give me the necklace." Yeah. And she's like, "No, this is a family heirloom." And Chuck goes, "You can have my wallet. It has $15 in it." And honestly, $15.
That's $5 for each member of this little stick up. Honestly, it's nice how it just splits up evenly for them.
Oh, in 2015 when this was filmed, they probably could have all got dinner at McDonald's.
Yeah, like 5 minutes of work for a meal? Sure, why not?
But they don't want his money, so the guy with the gun hits him in the head, pistol whips him in the head, knocks him unconscious, and then Mari is left there.
And she backs up pretty scared like.
And that's the end of the episode.
Yep.
That's the first episode of Vixen. That was 5 minutes of television, or actually webavision. What do we call it when it's on the internet? What's the appropriate term?
Video?
5 minutes of video.
5 minutes of a series, 5 minutes of watching.
I distinctly
5 minutes
know.
of viewing.
I feel like there was a distinct time period where it was called webavision.
I don't think so. It's a webisode.
Webisode, yeah.
I think you're wrong. Like, absolutely and utterly wrong.
Yeah, it looks like I'm wrong.
That sounds like something you would have heard in a bad TV show.
You know,
that was trying to approach the internet, but had no idea how it actually worked.
You know, probably exactly where I heard that type of terminology. Anyways, that was 5 minutes of webavision. Justice, what are your takes after 5 minutes of Vixen? There is no OP, there is no there is no ending theme.
I don't have one.
You don't have one after 5 minutes of TV?
No, not really. Weirdly, I guess Flash looked like a good animated adaptation of the Flash outfit they were using. Mm-hmm. The Arrow's outfit looked a bit weird with some of its blocking that's done with it for the textures that they have on his outfit in the show. Yeah,
because the show is trying to make his outfit like realistic. Mm-hmm. And the animated version is very much like his appearance in Young Justice.
Yeah, but they've added some like weird, darker blockings of green to account for what it's going on in the live action. And it's
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about it either. After 5 minutes of Vixen, I could take it or leave it.
I recognized the guy who was trying to buy the necklace, but I couldn't tell you what his name was.
The cop?
Yep, I recognize his voice, the voice actor for it.
At this point, I could take it or leave it, and the only reason I'm watching it is because I can't watch the next episode of Arrow without watching these 6 episodes of Vixen.
I mean, you could.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm watching the complete Arrowverse.
Fair.
So I would watch the next episode strictly because I need to watch the next 5 episodes.
I mean, I would watch the next episode because it's like 5 more minutes, and it's...
Yeah, it's not going to cost me anything, and I need to watch it.
It's almost like the first season is an episode of a show.
Actually, I need to go back to that previous statement. It is going to cost you something. If you want to watch Vixen, the only way you can watch it is if you buy it.
Yeah.
If you buy the Vixen movie, which contains both seasons compiled into one film.
Or if you can find it because of whatever region you live in, because the internet assures me it's available in certain regions, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, if you live in America, the only way you can watch Vixen is if you buy it. And I think you have to buy it on physical media. You might be able to buy the digital on Amazon, but I'm not for sure.
No idea.
But in general, the only way you're going to be able to watch Vixen is if you buy the physical media, because it is basically off of all streaming services, and that doesn't surprise me, because last I did know, in America it was on HBO Max, and HBO Max is terrible about actually keeping shit on HBO Max.
Before that it was on CW Seed, which is where it originally aired, because of like the weird website thing, and then CW eventually killed CW Seed, which is sad, because you could actually find a lot of their like older programming on there as well. It was good, and it was free.
Yeah, but in order to like write it off for tax purposes, they had to kill the seed.
Yep.
This is the worst part about reviewing media in the modern era.
Yeah.
Is how hard it is to find it sometimes. And also, like, this isn't even that old. It's 9 years old. It's part of a series of shows that is still ongoing. Yep. Arrowverse is still alive. The final season of Arrowverse starts next month.
And you would think it would be on HBO, well, on Max, where every other fucking DC animated thing is.
Or you think it'd be on Netflix, where all the live-action Arrowverse stuff is. Like,
or even just on YouTube, like posted on DC's YouTube, because DC has a YouTube channel.
Like, there's no reason why, if you're trying to, like, hype up the last season of Arrowverse, which they are. I'm getting ads for it all over the place. I was getting ads for it before I decided to watch the Arrowverse. It's part of the thing that made me go, hey, you know what I should do? Because I really liked Arrow when I was watching it. I should watch the Arrowverse.
Which, from what I was seeing, the only reason to not do that wise, because apparently Vixen isn't canon anymore because of something a show does later, but because of time travel stuff in the Flash, from my understanding. But that doesn't mean it's not canon. It just means its existence as canon and non-canon to the canonicity of the Arrowverse, because it had to exist, therefore to not exist later.
Basically, this is our intermission between episode 1 and episode 2, where we talk about how shitty it is that media gets lost so easily in the modern world. Like, the internet and internet storage is so cheap now.
Yep.
Like, media storage is so cheap. And for some reason, these things just vanish from the internet.
Yeah, and honestly, it's surprising that this even managed to get a physical copy. Because so often, you'll have things that don't get physical releases. And then,
Being Human US Season 4.
Yeah, and then big companies are like, oh, well, we're not going to put these anywhere because that sounds like a waste of our money. It's like, it's not. It's really not. You're not doing anything with it. You have it stored. Like, why? But yeah, it's dumb as fuck.
It's actively aggravating that, like,
I spent more time looking for this show
than it took to watch it?
Than it took to fucking watch it.
And the thing is...
And then it will take to watch the rest of it and the next season.
And the thing is, Arrowverse is a mildly popular series, right?
Yeah.
Like, it has a fandom that is still active and ongoing.
Yeah.
If the Arrowverse is still ongoing.
Yeah, I don't understand why.
But
think
about how much harder it is for shows that don't have that fandom. Like a show that maybe had one season in like 2005 or something.
Yeah, or a show that was like tossed to Cartoon Network, and then Cartoon Network was like, and then eventually got put on like HBO Max, and then Max eventually got rid of it. It's almost like the only way to like maybe have that show stick around because it wasn't going to get physical release is for people who may or may not have worked on it to be like, hey, here's all of the files online, download these.
You're specifically talking about Gravity Train?
Infinity Train.
Infinity Train.
Every fucking time, man.
Yeah, I know.
You call it Gravity Train.
It sounds better in my brain.
Sorry. But yeah, no, basically use it like that. And I was using that for an example, but we have seen so many times where creators of shows have been like, hey, pirate my show, download my show, pirate my game, download my game. And it's not even because they're like, fuck these corporations. They're like, there's no way for you to experience it otherwise. Like, I would prefer to sell it to you if I could, because then I could make some money off of it. But I'm making money off of it anyways, because they've said fuck you to me. So at least experience it is kind of all that comes down to it. It fucking sucks for everyone involved.
It's actually wild that we live in a time where companies would rather just not make any money on a property and let private individuals who have built Plex servers and Google Drives of these files make money by selling links to the files rather than them make the money themselves.
Yep.
For instance, and I know this is me getting into wrestling on a totally non-wrestling related thing.
Go ahead.
But there is at least 2 people I know of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the people. I know the username.
No, their existences.
Who have Plex servers that are organized by every match that AEW's ever put on, ever.
Fair enough.
Fully unedited, the original live stream of those matches.
Okay.
Because currently, the only way you can watch every AEW match ever is to not live in the United States.
Nice.
Have a subscription to Fight.
Yeah.
And buy every pay-per-view individually.
Oof.
And then, the matches still aren't organized. You have to go back and sort through a terrible server system to find the older stuff.
That's fantastic.
Similarly, there are people who do this with WWE because the only way to watch anything you want by WWE is to navigate through Peacock and their search function, which is basically unusable.
Yeah.
And then, even then, on WWE, a lot of shit has been edited or just doesn't exist on the WWE service because they want to erase it. Like a bunch of Chris Benoit stuff, which I get, or like a bunch of Vince McMahon stuff now, which also I get. But the fact that these things are being erased from like the possibility of like consumption and review and like critique and enjoyment is wrong.
Yeah. It's why shit like the Internet Archive exists. And it's fantastic, but it can only do so much because it does try to operate within its legal means because it is an archiving and historical site that they're trying to maintain and run legally so they can keep at least what they do have safe. But on that note, yeah, if you can like donate to Internet Archive, I know it accepts donations. If you find weird random media, submit it to them as well because there are ways to submit things to them in case they're looking for it.
Another site that is not quite archiving media is the Tower of Babel.
Library of Babel. Yes.
But if you don't know the Tower of Babel, it's an internet resource that has every combination of the 26 characters along with periods and spaces possible in the English language.
Yes.
Which means every book that's ever been written or will ever be written is on the Tower of Babel somewhere. And so people will go find the strings on Babel because each string has a unique URL.
Yep.
And they will tag these and like sort them out. So if you want to find a book and you know what the book is, there is Babel help guides that will tell you where to find this book.
Yeah.
Because it's all there. And it's all technically free because there's no way for somebody to like claim copyright infringement when it's literally just random algorithms.
Yeah.
So that's another option.
Anyways, though, on to episode 2 of Vixen.
Episode 2 of Vixen starts with Mari, who has been backing up away from these muggers, reaching for her Nasi totem necklace.
Yeah, it's the necklace she's wearing. We don't know it's a Nasi yet. We'll learn by the end of the episode.
And triggering the power of Gorilla.
Yes.
And so then she grods on these motherfuckers.
Yeah, because this guy's... So, the guy tells her to hand over the necklace, then grabs her around the back, holds the knife to her face, and is holding her arms down so she can't take off the necklace. But he's still insisting upon it, because, of course, the intelligence of street thugs in comics. So then she manages to touch it, because her hand's, like, right on her chest anyways when he does it, so she can't move, but she can touch the necklace. And then just flexes out of the hold and sends him flying back. And then lays the beat down on these guys. So, yeah.
Then Chuck comes to.
And he's just like, oh, what happened?
But she doesn't really explain it to him, and the two basically run off.
Yeah, this is actually where she decides to go home with Chuck. Because before that, they were just kind of walking after dinner. And then he's like, hey, so things are fucked up. It basically comes down to, that was kind of traumatizing. Your old room is still exactly the way you left it.
Yeah, so they end up
back put you up for the night.
They end up back at Chuck's house, and she's asking for a cup of coffee. And he's like, are you sure? I could go for something much stronger after what just happened. And she's like, nah, just coffee.
Yeah. And then we see her, like, getting this necklace as a child, because when she walks into her room, we immediately enter a flashback for it.
Yeah, she opens the door of her room and flashes back to being a child in this. And she's come home from school, crying to her foster mother because a girl at school is bullying her because her mother didn't even want her and abandoned her.
Yeah, her foster mother named Patty. We forgot to say her name, because Chuck did mention it last episode, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And so Patty, is that her name?
Yes, Patty McCabe.
Patty McCabe gets the box out and she's like, look, your mother didn't abandon you. It was just a matter of circumstance, but she did leave you something.
Yeah.
And it's this, and it's a Nasi necklace. We're told it's a Nasi totem.
Yes.
Which is like the only hint that Mari has to who she is.
Yeah.
Like who her family is. I don't want to say who she is, because orphans and foster people are who they are regardless of who their families and parents were. You don't have to find your parents or your past family to justify your existence or who you are today.
Exactly. Now, there is nothing wrong with finding them and learning more about where you came from, but you are not required to make yourself whole. You already are a whole person.
So, next day, in the present, after a flashback with the necklace,
yes,
Mari goes to a doctor, not a medical doctor, a doctor of, like, archaeology.
Yes, a doctor...
anthropology, maybe?
Yeah.
He says he has 3 doctorates, so...
Yeah, Dr. McAllister.
Mm-hmm. She's going there to learn about the Nasi totem, to maybe learn more about where she came from, because she spent years, maybe, at this point, looking for her actual parents and doesn't know who they are.
Yeah, and also some weird magic stuff just happened.
Yeah.
And so she initially goes to kind of tell them about that part, I think. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, no, it's stupid. To which he has a fun line of being like, I have 4 PhDs. I'm pretty sure I'm the expert and can tell you if something's stupid or not.
And then she's like, well, I've had it since I was 10. I thought it was a piece of junk, but I was wondering if there was any way we could find out where I came from. And then he tells her a story about a Nasi, and that he gifted this totem to
not this totem necessarily, but a totem. Because he gets to that part by, like, that part in the middle of the totem part is a certain type of rock, which comes from this area, and is like the same type of rock that a Nasi used for a warrior.
A Nasi, a trickster god, gave this warrior, and it gave him magical well, she's like, well, if it had magic, imagine what I could sell it for, right?
Yeah. And literally, McAllister explains that it has the exact powers that she mentioned.
Yeah, and Mari explains...
Ashe?
Yeah.
Like spiritual power of the animal or some stuff.
And he's like, why were you interested in it? And she's like, I was just trying to, like, see if it was worth anything, because I was thinking about selling it. Imagine if it was actually magic. Imagine what I could get for it. And she leaves.
Yes.
But before she left, she's like, oh yeah, she interrupted his story. She's like, no, I did all the research on the Nasi when I was little, when I originally found out about this, because... Yeah. So you're telling me nothing I didn't already know, but I was just trying to find out more so I could sell it. She leaves. He calls a mysterious woman on the phone, and he's like, those gangsters you hired to take the necklace from Mari failed to do their job. She just left my office.
Yeah. And then he tells the woman on the phone that he could probably get Mari back in whenever. Mm-hmm. She's just like, cool, do that. I want the totem, and once I have it, your next expedition will be fully funded.
And I need the totem, and I need Mari alive.
Yes.
And that's the end of episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's the end of these 2 episodes of Vixen. Justice, what do you think of Vixen based on these 2 episodes?
I think after the first 2 episodes, it seems like a good introduction to the character and like the I assume how we're going to be exploring her past to, like, understand where she gets her powers from, somewhat.
Yeah, it makes sense.
The craziest part, obviously, is to suspect that she will have a good enough hold on her power in 3 days to be able to avoid what is assumably more than just, like, a 3-minute long evasion of the Arrow and the Flash in the context of the universe, right? Probably longer than that.
Yeah.
It's crazy to assume she will be good enough with her powers in 3 days to avoid them both for that long. Because even if the Flash is rather new, it's Oliver Queen after he's met the Flash.
Well,
so he's been the Arrow for a long time.
The Flash is not that new at this point. This Flash is the Flash from the end of season 1 of Flash, which means it's the same Flash that has traveled fast enough to go back in time, that it's traveled fast enough to run into an atom and open a black hole. This is Flash. He's running 1,400 miles an hour bare minimum.
Yeah, so, like, she must get crazy good in, like,
3 days?
Yeah.
2 days, really, because we're already on day 1 of 3.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to watch more because I'm watching the Arrowverse, and this is... I don't think it's essential watching. I don't think, like, you have to watch Vixen to watch and understand Arrowverse, but I am watching all of Arrowverse, so...
Fair enough. What are your thoughts on the show after episode 2?
The animation's a little weak.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about that.
Very much like the Young Justice animation, but without as many frames to it, so it all feels not as smooth.
It
but it has very much the similar art style.
It also feels like, regardless of how good some of the voice actors are, it feels like they were all just given one take, and they're like, whatever you do is what we're taking.
1, maybe 2, yeah.
Because it's very, like, flat, and, like...
Yeah, especially in some instances.
Not like they care to match up mouth movement with voice, and...
Which I think, again, comes back to, like, the amount of frames they were basically given to do it.
Yeah. Basically, it's kind of low quality.
Not the worst quality. I've definitely seen worse.
I'm sure it would be fine in, like, 480p on a like, phone screen in 2015.
Yeah, probably. So, if you can run fast enough to get back to 2015, where you can easily find this on the CW seed and watch it on your phone, you're golden. It's easy to find. Quality looks good.
You make a very good point. If you're fast enough that you could travel back in time, the entire previous rant we had about lost media or the inaccessibility of media is totally irrelevant.
Yeah,
you could just go back to when it originally aired and watch it in its original format. Yeah, you're right, Justice.
I mean, sure, assumingly you have to worry about how that affects the world. Just don't interact with anybody. Just get an old phone that you take with you back in time.
Yeah, you're
and then
right.
just, like, stand in a dark room and just watch stuff.
You're right.
And then you run back to the future.
Yep, so that's Vixen episodes 1 and 2. I'm going to watch more because I'm watching all of the Arrowverse. Justice, are you going to watch more?
Yeah, I mean, why not, I guess.
Wonderful. So we'd both say, watch more Vixen, mainly because it's part of the Arrowverse.
Yeah.
You should watch the Arrowverse, all 1,000 and something episodes of the Arrowverse.
Mm-hmm. That seems to be the takeaway, yeah.
Anyways, thanks for flying with us. I've been Josh, that's Justice. And if you want to get in contact with us, there's a myriad of ways to do it, including running fast enough to go backwards in time and visit us before we made the podcast.
I don't know if that's a specific way to contact us. That's just a specific manner in which you can associate with us.
Methodology, yeah.
Yeah, it's a methodology of association, not necessarily a methodology for contacting.
I mean, if they...
Because you can just... The whole time part's irrelevant. If they can just run fast enough, they can scour the world until they can find us.
You make a point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, more sensible manners of communication exist, such as...
You could have your high-tech computer friend, I guess, hack us and do that. Please don't.
I was just going to suggest using Twitter or Blue Sky and finding the account that is at Copilots Review.
Honestly, probably the easiest method.
But there's also Gmail, which we're copilotsreview@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And then there's also our website, copilotsreview.simplecast.com.
Which has a link to our email, our socials there, like the Twitters or the Blue Skies, and
our YouTube, our Patreon,
our Discord. I think
all
I already
that
said
stuff.
That one.
So there's a myriad of ways to communicate with us. Pick your favorite. If it's time travel, I'm down.
I'm intrigued.
But otherwise, we'll see you on the next flight when we review Supergirl and continue our delve into the Arrowverse.
Thanks for flying, and please fly again soon.